What's up, everybody? This is WANDERSON the SANTOS here directly from Miami with the BJJ Combat News. And today we're going to talk about the UFC 272, which was an amazing event from top to bottom. The main card was amazing, and we're going to focus right now on the main card. The first fight of the main card was between Sergey Spivak and Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy, coming out of 2 losses, had to get that win. And we all know that Greg Hardy can finish anybody with 1 punch. And of course, Sergey knew that. That's why he had a perfect game plan. He was able to close the distance, dominate Greg Hardy and take him down. Greg Hardy even was able to defend a little bit, but after a few tries, Sergey was able to mount Greg Hardy, throw a few big bombs, and the fight was stopped with a TKO. For Greg Hardy now, with 3 losses in knockout, his future is uncertain in the UFC. Meanwhile, Sergey's probably gonna get a top 5 or a title fight in the next few fights, a title fight in the next fight. The next fight of the card was between Kevin Holland and Alex Oliveira. Kevin Holland lost trash talk, and he was trash talking again on this new phase of his career. Moving down to the 170, Alex Oliveira wanted to impose his will and show that division was his. He had a very different game. Usually he's very loopy, all over the place, being a wild man as he is, but for that fight, he was very composed. He had a really good game plan and pretty much won the first round. But when the second round came, everything changed. Holland came and threw a big right hand, dropped Oliveira, followed by a few punches, and again, another TKO. The fight was done, and Holland had a successful new phase in this 170, a successful debut in the 170 division. The next fight was between Edson Barboza and Bryce Mitchell. We all know that Edson Barboza is one of the best knockout artists in the UFC. He owns one of the best knockouts finished that ever existed. They're always played in the highlight reels in the UFC. And now in this new division on the featherweight, he had to go against one of the most grueling fighters in Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell really was able to impose his game also. Even though at the beginning Oliveira was able to keep the distance with some powerful kicks, eventually he was taken down by Bryce Mitchell. Once he was on the floor, Bryce Mitchell was able to dominate completely. The only time that Oliveira was able to create any dangers was one time that he went for a triangle, but beside that, he was very stagnated in the guard. I wish he was able to move more his hip to at least push Bryce away and get up and develop his game. But here you go. Props to Bryce Mitchell for controlling such a great striker, a top 10 contender, and now be ready probably to fight for a title fight in the next fights. After that, the co-main event, actually a 5-round fight, which is never happened in a co-main event. The fight between Rafael dos Anjos and Renato Moicano. Renato Moicano actually was a last-minute replacement. He flew from Brazil here in just 2 days, caught in the weight, and was there ready to fight a catchweight fight of 160 pounds against Rafael dos Anjos. And again, another grueling fight. Rafael dos Anjos showed that he really was ready for a 5-round fight. He was able to control and dominate Moicano not only on the stand-up but also on the ground. The fight actually was really close to being stopped multiple times. The doctor even checked Moicano twice and asked him if he wanted to continue to fight, but Moicano, as the stud that he is, kept fighting and never gave up. They went all the 5 rounds where Rafael dos Anjos dominated, but he wasn't able to get a finish. And here we are, the last fight of the night, the main event, the fight between Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. Covington, that is my teammate, had a very unorthodox approach to his striking. He would come with some crazy looping punches followed by high kicks that really allowed him to close the distance and use his great wrestling that we say was going to be one of his strengths last week. Jorge even said after the fight in the post-conference that his only chance that he had really was on the 4th round when he knocked down Covington, but because he thought Covington was going to come back, he didn't capitalize on the opportunity. The rest of the fight, it was pretty much a dominance performance by Covington when he was able, like I say, using those dynamic and unorthodox striking that he probably learned from Master Cesar Carneiro and a master, and keep Jorge on his toes because he was always expecting for a takedown. Because of that, he was able to use those looping punches and take him down and eventually just win the fight with a dominant performance from the top. And you would think after all of this trash talk, these two former teammates, roommates, and friends would hug it out after at the end of the fight, but that just didn't happen. At the end of the fight, they're still trash talking to each other. And they both say in the post-conference, they'll meet again in the street, they'll fight, even on the parking lot. So we shall see what the future awaits for these two great fighters. That was it for today, guys. I hope you enjoy your show here at the BJJ Combat News. See you guys next time.
The Pod Matrix.